just to contextualize where we are today in this room on the heat thread, we've learned a lot about the physiology this morning, and we've had a few hints about what's going to be talked about this afternoon. This afternoon we're starting to think about the economic and economy implications of heat, and we're starting to talk about some of the sort of practical solutions. And I know that most of us probably think, what we really care about is health, whether it's ours or people we know or people we don't know. But of course, if we want governments and organizations to do something, it's often easier to sort of talk about the money. And I think this morning we saw this sort of I'm an economist for my sins, but I'm not an economist who comes up with numbers like, climate change 4 degrees in 2050, it'll just have a little, it'll be a few percentage points off GDP. Because I think there's a lot of flawed work. And in the words of Shania Twain, that don't impress me much. If it's really just a few percentage points by 2050 or 2100, I think we can all go home and be happy and sort of, take early retirement and not spend our lives trying to solve these problems. And so, I think it's just much easier if we start thinking about what this means in practicalities for, does the economy still keep functioning? Do we still have the tax revenue? How much pressure is put on the health services? Do we see a fiscal drag on GDP if we don't take heat seriously? So this is this portion of the day when we're going to sort of start thinking about what it means for the economy, economics, fiscal stuff. And so we have some awesome speakers. They are going to introduce themselves, but I'll just tell you, we've got an economist out of academia, we've got someone from UK government HSA, we've got union representation from Unison, and we've got representation for Transport for London. And so I gave myself 5 minutes in the slot just to sort of talk about how I think about these issues. And I sort of think to myself, the kind of work I've been doing, I think to myself, people in the gig economy, and again, we heard a little bit about that this morning as well. In the UK, gig economy is only about sort of 1.5% of the workforce. But there's a lot of people who don't have formal contracts, a lot of people who do piecework. And if you're a sort of Deliveroo driver or an Uber Eats person on their bicycle, you wake up in the morning and it's a heat wave. It was, 40 degrees three years ago, and it's, it was 29, 30, 31 just a few days ago. And in the morning, you sort of wake up and go, do I protect my health or do I protect my income? And probably you don't protect either. And then you might be someone who knows they can come to a reasonably cooled office. But in the UK, we've got this lovely Mediterranean weather. If we think about it, it's what they've been living in the Med. But we have a North Atlantic country infrastructure. And so you've sort of probably, for me, it's like, I don't have a fan in the house or air conditioning because that's just not British, because that's what I remember growing up. And so you might not have been able to sleep the night before. And then you go on the central line, you're not lucky on the district, on the central line. And then by the time you get to the office, you're already wilting. And so even if we think about worker conditions in the office, you've already sort of, your productivity's down, your health might be compromised, and you're just about to start a day. If you work nights, it might be cooler to work, but again, how are you going to sleep in the day? So there's lots of aspects that we probably don't know enough about, but we've got the practitioners with us in the room who are actually going to be able to talk to us about what adaptation could happen, what adaptation is needed, what adaptation is happening. So we're going to run this, like I say, with military precision. Each of your speakers has up to 15 minutes, and if they finish, in less than 50 minutes, we will have time for individual questions. So think about your questions. And then afterwards, we will come and have a panel discussion where, again, if I feel there's lots of energy in the room, I'm going to stop talking, and you guys can ask more questions. Otherwise, I have a few prepared questions as well. Keep your questions shortish, please, and only one per person. And I'm going to ask the speakers to keep their answers shortage as well, so we can get lots of engagement. So with that, I'm going to hand over to our first speaker, and I have strict instructions. They introduce themselves. But this is my very dear colleague, Shura, who's going to kick things off.